All right, let's pull back the curtain on one of the most critical but often invisible jobs in the entire digital world: modern data engineering. It's the secret sauce behind your favorite apps, and we're going to break down exactly how it all works.
You know that feeling, right? It's almost like magic. But you know what? It's not magic. Behind every single one of those eerily good recommendations, there's a massive complex system. And that's exactly where the modern data engineer lives.
To get a sense of the problem, just look at this number: 328 zettabytes. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that. A single zettabyte, that's a trillion gigabytes. Companies are just drowning in this tidal wave of raw, chaotic information. So the big question for every company out there is, what on earth do you do with all of that? How do you turn that digital noise into something actually useful? Well, that's the whole point of data engineering. So how in the world do they pull this off? Honestly, the best way to think about it is to picture a giant factory. But this one doesn't make cars or phones, it churns out pure, valuable information. And data engineers, they're the ones who design the whole place. So their job is to build the whole shebang from the ground up. They're designing the loading docks where all that raw data gets dropped off, building the assembly lines that whip it into shape, and setting up the massive warehouses to store everything. It's all about one goal: turning messy raw materials into a polished, reliable final product that the business can actually use. And you know, this factory idea really helps clear up a couple of key terms you hear all the time. Think of a traditional data warehouse as the shiny, polished showroom. It only has the final, ready-to-sell products on display. Super clean, super organized. But the modern approach, the data lakehouse, that's totally different. It's like having the messy workshop and the clean warehouse all under one roof. You keep the raw materials right next to the finished goods, which gives you way more flexibility to experiment and build new things. Okay, so we've got our factory designed, but what actually happens on the inside? Let's take a walk down the assembly line and see how all that messy, raw data actually becomes valuable. You know, it pretty much boils down to 4 main steps. First up, ingestion. This is like the delivery trucks backing up to the loading dock, just dumping tons of raw data from all over the place. Next is storage, getting all those parts organized in our lakehouse. Then comes the most important part: transformation. This is the actual assembly line, where we clean, combine, and shape the data into something useful. And finally, the magic ingredient: orchestration. This is like the central computer, the brain of the factory, that automates everything and makes sure the assembly line is running smoothly, 24/7, without a hitch. But look, there's a timeless rule in any kind of manufacturing, right? If your raw materials are junk, your final product is gonna be junk. And this old saying, garbage in, garbage out, it is the absolute #1 nightmare for a data engineer. Why? Because at the end of the day, their reputation is on the line to deliver a high-quality product. And that's exactly why quality control is not just important, it's everything. Modern engineers build all these sophisticated checks right into the assembly line. We're talking automated tests that check for errors, AI that's constantly scanning for weird issues or anomalies. They even create data contracts with their suppliers to basically guarantee the quality of the materials coming in. And maybe coolest of all, they can trace the entire lineage or journey of any piece of data, all the way from the loading dock to the finished product. Okay, a factory like this doesn't run itself. It needs a skilled crew and a pretty serious set of tools. So let's talk about who's actually running the show. So you've got the data engineer, right? They're the master architect, the one who designs and builds the entire factory and its assembly lines. But then there's this other key role, the analytics engineer. Think of them as the finishing department. They take those great products coming off the line, then polish them up, packaging them perfectly, and get them ready for the end users. You know, the business analysts and data scientists who are going to use this stuff to make decisions. And the tools they use? Whoa, it's a whole world of specialized tech. You've got tools for every stage we just talked about: ingestion, storage, transformation, and orchestration. But there's this 5th category that's become absolutely crucial: observability. This is basically the factory's high-tech security and monitoring system. It's the cameras, the sensors, the alarms, everything that's watching the assembly line 24/7 to catch problems before they even happen. So you might be thinking, wow, that is a lot of work. Why would any company go through all this trouble to build such a complex, expensive factory? The answer is simple: because the stuff this factory produces is insanely valuable. When it's done right, this information factory isn't just a part of the business, it is the engine that powers the entire modern business. And this chart here, It shows you exactly how that payoff happens. Most places start out at level 1. It's kind of chaotic, data is all over the place, it's a mess. But as they start to mature, as they invest in building a real factory with standard processes and good governance, look what happens to the business value. It just skyrockets. It's a really simple equation. The better your factory, the more valuable its output.
So, this all brings us to one final, really important question you should ask yourself. When you look at your organization's data, what do you see? Is it a messy, disorganized garage with stuff piled up everywhere? Or is it a clean, efficient, high-performance factory? Because honestly, the answer to that question tells you pretty much everything you need to know about its chances of winning in today's world.